Have you been injured in a car accident in Orlando that wasn't your fault? If so, an Orlando car accident attorney at our firm can help you recover the compensation you're entitled to under Florida law. We know how a car accident can impact a person and their family, and we hear the horror stories every day. People don't just deal with injuries, but they're also stuck with a serious financial burden that can flip their world upside down. Now, we're a boutique trial law firm, and we handle a variety of personal injury cases, including those involving car accidents in Orlando and throughout Florida. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the main points to consider in a car accident case. And hopefully, we can give you some information that helps you get through this difficult time. So let's jump right into it. Let's start out by talking about compensation. So what compensation is available in a personal injury case involving a car accident in Orlando? Well, if you've been injured in a car accident, the responsible party may owe you compensation for all kinds of different damages you suffered. And some of the more common types of damages will include things like medical bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Now, as far as medical bills are concerned, you can be compensated for things like an ambulance ride, hospital bills, and any medical treatment you receive as a result of the accident. As for lost wages, you can be compensated for the work you missed, as well as the work you may have to miss in the future. And as we talked about, you can also be compensated for the pain you experienced as a result of the injuries you suffered in the car accident. Now, what if someone died in a fatal car accident in Orlando as a result of a negligent or careless driver? What can the family do? Well, if you lost a loved one because of negligence, you may be able to seek compensation through a wrongful death claim or lawsuit. The specific types and amounts of compensation that the family may be entitled to will depend on the details of the case, including the relationship between the people seeking damages and the deceased. In general, compensation awarded in wrongful death cases in Florida may include things like funeral expenses, medical bills, loss of companionship, and even the decedent's lost earnings. Overall, while a wrongful death lawsuit cannot bring back your loved one, it may provide assistance in covering present and future costs following such a catastrophic accident. As a result, a wrongful death case can take away some of the financial burden of losing a loved one, which can at least take some of the stress off of a terrible situation. So why would you choose our law firm? Why go with Spetsas Buist? Well, let's talk about that. We're not a giant law firm, so that means you get to talk with your lawyer instead of a call center or customer service rep. In fact, if we have the capacity to take on your case, you're going to get a direct line of communication to your lawyer, so you can text them or call them anytime. We don't stick injured people with an assistant or a paralegal. That's just not how we do business. We build relationships, and our clients get to know us, and we get to know them personally. Because you have a personal relationship with your lawyer, you know they're going to do everything they can to help you. We move cases forward as fast as we can, and we don't let our cases sit on the shelf. Each client is a priority, whether their case is big enough to be on a billboard or not. We understand that while we may have a number of cases, each client only has one case, and that matters to that person. We respect that, and we treat people with dignity. And just like the other firms, we represent people on a contingency fee basis, so it's free unless we win. Now, this is a great marketing message, but the truth of the matter is it's like saying we're a restaurant that serves you food. Most people outside the legal community don't know that, so it's a great way to get a phone call. But it's a given. You don't pay anything unless we get you a recovery, which is usually through a settlement or a jury verdict. So let's talk about case value for a minute. How much is a car accident case worth, and what can an Orlando car accident attorney do to increase the value of a case? Well, the truth is that every case is different, and several factors come into play, including the severity of your injuries, your medical expenses, and the impact the injuries you suffered have had on your work and daily life. Our goal is to thoroughly assess each aspect of your case and assign a value that reflects both your financial and non-financial losses. The first step is for us to send out letters of preservation to make sure valuable evidence isn't lost or destroyed. Then we work to pursue the compensation you deserve through insurance or legal channels. Now, sometimes the insurance policy is the limiting factor. For example, if you get injured by a person with no money and no assets, and they're carrying a small insurance policy, that may be all the money that's available to you in the case. There's nothing any lawyer can do to change that. However, what we can do is make sure that we squeeze every drop of juice out of that orange. And that's what we strive to do at our firm. Now, let's talk about personal injury protection, or PIP insurance. In a no-fault state like Florida, folks are required to carry personal injury protection coverage that reimburses injured people for things like medical bills and lost wages, regardless of who is at fault in the accident. However, the typical personal injury protection policy is only $10,000 because that's the requirement in Florida. So that brings us to the next question. What if your injuries extend beyond that PIP coverage? Well, if you have serious injuries, this is a common scenario because $10,000 can be eaten up very quickly by medical bills. At that point, you may need to pursue a personal injury claim against the at-fault driver or against your own insurance company to access your uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. And that's where an Orlando car accident attorney can help. If you find yourself in this situation, where your personal injury protection only covers a fraction of your medical bills, don't hesitate to reach out. We help folks in this situation all the time. Now, what about proving negligence? What's involved with that? Well, proving negligence in a car accident case can be a challenge sometimes. A plaintiff and their Orlando car accident attorney need to be able to prove the 4 basic elements of negligence, including duty, breach, causation, and damages. Every driver owes a duty to act reasonably while behind the wheel of a vehicle. And if a driver breaches that duty by acting carelessly or recklessly and causes harm to someone else, that driver may be liable. So, what does negligence usually look like in an Orlando car accident case? Well, think about the traffic laws. If a driver is speeding or runs a red light and hurts someone, that driver is likely going to be liable for any damages caused. Another common type of negligence is distracted driving, and this often involves a person texting or playing with their phone when they get into an accident. And one of the most egregious types of negligence is drunk driving. If a person gets behind the wheel while drinking, they may be liable for punitive damages. So how do we build a good car accident case in Orlando? Well, the first step in a case is usually to send out those letters of preservation. That way, valuable evidence is not lost or destroyed. Another good practice is to get out to the accident scene and take pictures of property damage, skid marks, and anything else that could be useful in the case. Finally, another time-sensitive bit of evidence we like to get is the black box data from the vehicles. Oftentimes, this data automatically erases after a certain amount of time or a certain number of miles driven. So it's good practice to get out there and get your hands on that black box data before it disappears. Other useful types of evidence include video evidence. Now, sometimes local businesses have cameras that were facing the scene of the accident. And other times, there may have been drivers with dash cam footage of the accident. All this stuff is extremely useful, and it can do away with the he said, she said, and provide both sides with irrefutable evidence of what happened. Overall, an Orlando car accident attorney at our office will work to gather and preserve whatever evidence could be useful to your case. From witness statements to camera footage to pictures and videos, we want everything we can get to help folks get the compensation they're entitled to. Now let's take just a minute to talk about rollover accidents. Did you know that rollover accidents, where a vehicle flips over, make up more than a quarter of all deaths from motor vehicle crashes? And that's pretty staggering, right? Ironically, these accidents tend to happen more often with SUVs and trucks and other vehicles we generally consider to be extra safe. And that's because these vehicles have such a high center of gravity. But here's the thing. It's not just the flipping over that's the problem when a vehicle rolls over. The windows tend to break and the roof will crush in. And when those windows break, there's a higher chance that a passenger can be totally or partially ejected. Also, the glass flying around the vehicle can cause serious cuts or even blind folks. And when the roof crushes in, the space inside the vehicle gets really tight, which increases the risk of serious head injuries and broken bones. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you need any help at all from an Orlando car accident attorney at our office, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to give you a free legal consultation and talk with you about what happened to you. All you have to do to get in touch with us is call us at the number below in the video description, or you can look us up at www.carelessdriver.com. And thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.